into interrelationship between cognitive neuroscience and decision making, with specialization in Argentina, Russia, USA, and Denmark. He is a professor of applied sciences to management and economics program, National University of Cuyo, Argentina, and the neuroeconomics coordinator of the Latin American Institute of Applied Neurosciences. He has written two books in English, Neuroeconomics and Emotional Economics. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to hear you. The stage is all yours. Thank you.
And Dr. Sebastian, just wanted to inform you on behalf of Amity University and our Group Vice Chancellor, Dr. Gurinder Singh sir, we welcome you. And this event which we are doing in association with the Ministry of Happiness. So we have a Ministry of Happiness in India, in a state called Madhya Pradesh. This is a state where we are having this ministry, and we are doing this program along with them. So they are our associate partners in that, and this event is live in various media right now. And the two media partners, you will be seeing on my background, two logos on the backside. So we have Business World, Wellbeing World, and then we have BW Healthcare. These two are the brands who are promoting our event live on their platforms. And they are the national media kind of a platform that we have right now. So these are the two media partners we have for this event, and the Ministry of Happiness is one of the associate partners we have. And this event will be recorded, and this event will be in the archives of the ministry and also of our university. Thank you so much for joining. Over to you, Doctor.
Well, it's an honor for me to be invited to this meeting. I want to thank all of you, Amity University, and all the institution, Ministry of Happiness of India, and all the institutions are hosting this meeting. And well, I want to introduce some connections between neuroeconomics, my field of specialization, emotional economics, and happiness or welfare, that is the objective of this meeting. First, I'll introduce about neuroeconomics. Neuroeconomics is not economics only, not psychology only, not only neuroscience. It's a near frontier between these three fields. Which topics take about these three fields? All related with decisions, all related with decision in economics, in psychology, in neuroscience. Economic decision, that is decision that compare cost and benefits, in order to build an unified theory of decision. This is the first goal of neuroeconomics. And in this conversation, in this exposition, I'm going to explain why it is so important for public policies about happiness. Take a definition about neuroeconomics, for example, Paul Sack. Paul Sack talks about neuroeconomics as transdisciplinary field associated with the neuronal substrate associated with economic decision. You can see with this definition, neuroeconomics is more than a social science. It's a mix, it's a fusion between social science and natural science. That is the complexity, the real complexity of the epistemological question about neuroeconomics. It's not a simple branch of knowledge. Kevin McCabe, another neuroeconomist, talk about interdisciplinary research program in order to build a biological model of decision making. Again, it's more than the typical social science that I or we study at university in economics. Neuroeconomics is lot more complex than we used to study, and that is the real question: how to use all the knowledge we are accumulated in these years about the brain in order to convert this in practical policies for the wellness of people. That is the very challenge for this enterprise. And emotional economics, here is one of my books. Emotional economics is a branch of neuroeconomics, is specialized in limbic system. Limbic system is the center of the emotions in our brain. And neuroeconomics is rooted in past knowledge, important past knowledge, behavioral economics. Behavioral economics is a more traditional field or branch of economics, and with many Nobel Prizes like Simon, Kahneman, Thaler. They are world-known economists or psychologists. For example, the concept of bounded rationality or limited rationality of Simon, thinking fast or thinking slow, system 1, system 2 of Kahneman, and the Thaler, the concept of the idea of nudge. The idea of nudge today is a key for public policies in order to happiness or welfare. People need nudges, people need guidance, people need a vision of architect of decisions in order to push, but gently push, slow push to the good decisions, to the decision that some people, politicians and CEOs and executives of big companies can see. Architects of decisions see the path, have the vision, and with nudges try to push, gently push people in order to achieve these goals. This is the framework today more used in at least in Western countries. I don't know India, I don't know China, I don't know, maybe Japan. Japan is very Western in mind, in thinking, in at least in economics or in development policies. Nudges are the key. Are the key architect of decision. Look at the image. A big elephant giving a nudge to a small elephant. A small elephant are most of the people. 70% of the people, 80% of the people need a guidance. Remember what is put in red. Most people don't know what they want until someone shows it to them. So the key are the architects of decisions. I want to say politicians, I want to say companies, but we, academics are architects of decision. Religious are architects of decision. All people who have the position to direct, to manage groups of people are architects of decision. We have to have the vision in order to create these nudges to guide people to happiness. So we have until at these days, nowadays, we have a different view of economic decision. Economic decisions are not rational, neither of rational expectation, as said Robert Lucas Nobel Prize. No. Economic decisions are of bounded rationality, are limited rationality, because 90% of the economic decision is unconscious. Here in this 90% in this more important part of the decision, the unconscious, is where nudges or public policies have to be the better impact. In the emotion, the 90% of economic decision is emotion, is underconscious. We don't realize that we are taking the decision, but we really are taking the decision. The limbic system is the clue. We have plenty of bias. The bias are extremely important in order to system one of Kahneman to behave fast, to decide fast. But bias give us errors, mistakes. And the more important framework today, parallel at nudges of Thaler, is the somatic marker model of Antonio Damasio, a Portuguese neuroscience living in England, I think. But when Damasio wrote Descartes' error, we can see in the slide, there was a big impact in the way many academicians thought about reason and emotion. Remember René Descartes, the great philosopher of 18th century, that said, first think, then exist. Damasio said the opposite. Damasio said, first exist, then think. First was emotion. The last part of our history is about the prefrontal cortex. Our prefrontal cortex is the last step in the evolution of the brain. First was emotion, not reason. Well, 90%, I repeat, 90% of our decision is taken unconscious. It's extremely important. We can see this reflection of John Dylan Haynes, one of my favorites neuroscientists. He said, freedom, our feeling or experience of freedom is no more than an illusion, because our actions are initiated by unconscious long before we became aware of this. Really challenging. My liberal economist friend they are killing me. They are killing me when I talk about subjective ideas of freedom are wrong. Here are some relevant brain areas for economics. In figure A, we can see the more rational areas, the more rational regions, especially dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. All prefrontal cortex is rational, but dorsolateral is the more rational. It's the center of volunteer, it's the center of self-control, but it's not the more important. It's not definitive in the final decision. The more important in the final decision is what we can see in figure B, especially orbitofrontal cortex here behind eyes, and ventromedial prefrontal cortex. Both regions are center of connection between emotion and rational. They are
to say this
in
one.
orbit. Yes, here. That behind the eyes, ventromedial is here, is near the eyes too.
So one side is orbitofrontal, one is ventromedial.
Exactly. Orbitofrontal and ventromedial, they are the two more important regions to connect emotion with reasons and shape the real decision that we are going to take. And don't forget the figure C with the ventral striatum that is inside the brain, is not on the cortex, it's in the middle brain, near the ears, there, especially the ventral striatum and some area called nucleus accumbens. The nucleus accumbens is the reward center, is where economics shape utility curves. You know our utility curves that we study in the books, in economic books. They are there in the nucleus accumbens, is where it's the dopaminic center, where it's the center of liking, the center of pleasure. Is we like something, we like so much something, nucleus accumbens illuminate in a big manner. So, but we have a lot of knowledge about brain, but how to build happy people? The objective of these meetings. Well, what do we know? Decisions are unconscious at 90%. Yes. Perceptions are shaped by architects of decisions, government, private companies, religious, academicians. We need nudges. We need nudges. Public policies need to gently push people. Happiness and welfare are states of mind that can be influenced, can be created. Neuroeconomics is the key for that, to construct, to build public policies to influence most of the people. And here is the more practical part of my exposition, my advice. If you ask me, what do I do about happiness in practical sense in some country, if I were ministry, if I were secretary, if I were, I don't know, the people that have some power, political power, I will take care about the access to capital. People need to have access to capital. Capital in a broad sense, physical capital, hard capital, intellectual capital, immovable property, whatever. But people need capital, need to own capital, or need to have access, easy access to capital, because people without capital feel just a survivor, feel just a person who is unprotected in the world. 50%, nearest 50% of the world have nothing of capital, nothing, or very little, almost nothing. That is one of the best reason, the first reason of unhappy people, of the unwelfare in the world. There are so much groups in Latin America, in Asia, in all the second and third world that is really alienated, is disadvantages, is have many neuropsychological tensions, is not happy. It's just, they are just survivors. What I saying is we have to left the traditional poverty subsidy. In Latin America is extremely used subsidy to all. Give money, give money, give money, give money. We have to change this vision to a vision of the constitutional access, right to access to capital via long-term credits, intergenerational credits, 100 years of credits. Don't worry about easy money to long-term credit, to invest in good capital, whatever, hard capital to found a company, financial capital to study, to an immovable property, whatever. But promote capital. Capital is the key condition for building wealth. And all these kind of credits with efficiency, with productivity. Don't forget to take control of how to give the money and who give the money. We have to build. The happiness is not in the aggregate, in the abstract. The happiness is in the family, at the family level, at the small community level. Here is where money have to go via this long-term credit, 100 years credit, just to invest in good capital. To conclude, and they are the conclusion of my exposition, we have to connect new findings about brain and economics with public policies. I repeat, there are so much theory, but little practical policy. Little, very little. Nudges are the key. Nudges are the framework today more used in Europe and the US maybe, but in Europe is the more important framework, especially with some think tanks called, I don't remember, but they are behavioral economist think tanks in Europe. I don't remember the exact name. Public policies well designed are real change driver, are real drivers of happiness, but we need the correct framework. The correct framework is nudgy, is neuroeconomics, is emotional economics. Government and companies are the truly architects of happiness. This is their responsibility, and they have to take this responsibility. Access to capital is the more important key. And don't forget, people without capital are really unhappy people, are really unprotected people, are just survivors in the world. Let us to use all right knowledge to build better public policies. Thank you from Argentine. My flag, Argentine.